Thomas Gaume.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of Council. My name is Thomas Gaume. I live at 1700 Lantana Court, Northwest Palm Bay. I'm a 12-and-a-half-year U.S. Navy veteran, a survivor of the Beirut barracks bombings, and a veteran of the First Gulf War. I'm also a 2018 candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 4. My speech is in its entirety, both recorded and in text format, along with all supporting public records and documents, are in a queue and will be automatically released on my campaign Facebook page at 8:30 p.m. tonight. I have a multitude of items that I could speak about: roads, stormwater, pedestrian and bicycle safety, but I'd like to use this time to address the one thing that concerns me most of all, and that's my perception of corruption in the city. I've come to the conclusion that this runs far deeper than anything that's been reported in the press. And it's a topic I could speak about at length. However, I'll get right to the point. Our councilman that sits in seat 3, Brian Jacob Anderson, is not a man of means. He drives an older truck, rents a modest home, and according to him, he works on a horse farm down in Grantville area. Mr. Anderson has ran several failed campaigns for city council in the past, never raising any significant amount of money and never contributing to his own campaign with more than a few $100s. Mr. Anderson's campaign finance reports show that he contributed a total of $6,340 to his 2016 campaign within the final 2 months before the election, with $5,050 of that contribution just 2 weeks before the vote, showing it was deposited on October 23, 2016. In fact, the public records show that Mr. Anderson put a total of $90 in his campaign prior to another candidate that I believe is now his employer exited the race on August 10, 2016. To be fair, Mr. Anderson's Form 1 financial disclosure that was due July 1st hasn't been received at the state yet, so I was unable to verify that information beyond Mr. Anderson's utterance of where he was working prior to our meeting last Thursday, and what others have conveyed to me by word of mouth. I met with Mr. Anderson last week for over an hour. During our conversation, Mr. Anderson stated that missing one paycheck would be detrimental to his family, that they live week to week, like many of our other families in Palm Bay do. At that point, I asked him if missing just one paycheck would have that kind of impact on your family. How did you dump over $6,000 into your campaign in the final 2 months before the election? It was quite clear that it made Mr. Anderson very uncomfortable, losing eye contact with me, fidgeting in his seat, and stuttering to come up with a quick answer. During this meeting, I brought up the topic of dissolving the Bayfront CRA, or the BCRA as it's known. And Mr. Anderson made the utterance that he and at least one other council member had discussions about doing so, and then quickly realized he had admitted to a violation of Florida sunshine laws to me.
You have to come to closure.
2 paragraphs, sir. It also seems evident to my untrained eye that Mr. Anderson's campaign reports are fraudulent, clearly showing that no less than 3 different hands signed his name on these documents. These documents clearly state that it's a crime to falsify public records. Mr. Anderson, it's my opinion that you have compromised yourself and you are pinned. Pinned to the point that you cannot make an independent or impartial decision. That you have placed yourself in a position that personally, professionally, and politically that you cannot escape. I believe you can't even resign your seat without losing the livelihood and jeopardizing your family's financial well-being. Honestly, I feel sorry for you. I would suggest before you make any rebuttal that you ask for a recess, and I will provide you with the public documents that show this information and have a conference with the city attorney. The rest of my speech is online. Thank you.
Reverend Richard Spellman.
Well, real quick, since I was brought up in that, when we did have our meeting, the question that you said about the $6,000 never came up. You said that I contributed $10,000 to my own campaign, and I did. We can discuss that later. I do not work at a horse farm. I work for MDI Home Solutions. Give them a call, check the paychecks, that's fine. The conversation we had about the BCRA is a public record, and it was here at this meeting, and Mr. Santiago had that discussion, so that's complete public record. That's not out of the sunshine. So, I mean, you can come up here and attack me all you want. You're not running against me, but that's fine. If you're really that upset about the stormwater fee, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. So,
No,
have a
you
great
can't.
day, sir.
Can't
Thank
go
you.
back. Can't go back and forth.